Yo, what's good YouTube? Zamcro here, aka Scoop, back with the Pokemon Battle Federation. We've got our Season 9, Week number 9 matchup here, where we're taking on Sebi VGC, or OP Dragonite, coach of the Montreal Monfernos. And as you can see on screen, he's got a pretty scary squad. Down at the bottom, he's got the Landorus Therian, Greninja, Reuniclus, Superior, Azumarill, Bronzong, Xurkitree, Diancie, Dragalge, Crabominal, and the Mega Camerupt. And his Z-move users are Landorus Therian and Crabominal. And our team is Tapu Koko, Kyurem Black, Mega Heracross, Nidoqueen, Ferrothorn, Swampert, Mesprit, Mismagius, Savali, Alomomola, and our Entei, where our Z-move users are Tapu Koko and Mismagius. So, for this week, we're bringing Tapu Koko, Kyurem Black, Mega Heracross, Ferrothorn, Swampert, and Entei, and we'll get into that in just a second. I just want to shout out to my buddy, one of my best buds in the community, Sebi VGC, or just Sebi. He's a fantastic person, first of all, and secondly, he's a fantastic friend, and thirdly, he's a fantastic battler. This man, he joined the PBF in Season 3, just for one season in Season 3, and he went 15-0 with the title, defeated us in the finals. A little bit unfortunate. Well, not like it was RNG influenced or anything like that. It was just unfortunate I lost. A fantastic game, and it was pretty clean too, if I remember correctly. I don't remember any RNG in that one. And then he joined again in Season 6. He took over for a squad a little bit ways through the season. I don't think we were necessarily halfway through the season. I think Sebi had maybe 3 or 4 games. I'm not really sure how many games he had played already, but he ended up going through that season without any major losses. I know he lost to us in the regular season, where my Suicune was actually able to outlast his Ferrothorn thanks to PP stall, and we eventually won that one. But we met in Season 6 finals, where he did get another win over us. Yeah, so he beat us in Season 3 finals and in the Season 6 finals, and like I mentioned, he went 15-0 in Season 3. Him playing, not his team's record, but him playing in Season 6, he only lost maybe 2 battles maximum, one to us and maybe one other one. He may have went, only losing to us. I'm not really sure, but he's sitting at 8-0 with a plus 24 differential right now. In Week 7, he faced off against the only other undefeated team, and he was actually able to get a big win there, pretty convincingly. I caught that live. Go check that out if you haven't, to watch my man Sebi in live action. But yeah, fantastic battler, like I mentioned, fantastic person, fantastic friend, and somebody that when I'm stumped or just not really feeling mons, then I will turn to Sebi, like, hey Sebi, man, will you look at a matchup for me? Will you actually build my entire squad for me and just tell me what to do? Sometimes, that's how good of friends we are. I would play his games, in his moments where he's not available, if he needed me to. I did that once for him, I believe, and then he's built a squad for me more than once, and yeah. So me and Sebi are really good friends. We know each other pretty well, and if I have to win this game, I need to win the rest of my games. I'd like to finish 7-4, sitting at 4-4 right now. I can afford one more loss, but I really don't want to be in a position to where I'm relying on other people to lose, or in a position where I have to win my last 2 battles. I just want to take it week after week, and I want to have, I have to win this battle. I have to win this battle. I have to win this battle. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to look too far into it. If I lose this game, then I have to win week 10 and 11. That's why I feel like I have to win this match. But at the same time, if I was able to, in the way the standings are, coaches are going to be able to, some that I need to lose are going to have to lose, and some that I need to win are going to have to win. That being said, some of those guys are playing each other, so it works out for me. But again, I don't want to rely on that. I want to win. I want to put myself in the best position. I want to control my own destiny, basically. But That being said, at the same time, knowing that I could potentially squeeze by Sebi here, I still got a tough remaining schedule versus two opponents who don't have the best record, but are have a fantastic squad and have a fantastic battling resume. And so, what I'm saying here is that Sebi and I probably aren't bringing the best squads. Not our A game. I mean, I'm gonna play my A game. I prepped and built really well, but I feel like there was other options, other ways, and things that I could have did in this matchup to take on Sebi a little bit better. Anyways, I guess that's enough with the chit chat there, and we can go ahead and hop into the team builders. So Sebi's got Landers Therian, potential stealth rocker. He's got Bronzong, which is another potential stealth rocker. Diancie and Mega Camera are his last potential stealth rockers. So he's got four really solid stealth rockers. Nothing that I can really take advantage of in terms of leading and preventing his rocks. I suppose with things like if I could bring the 4 moves, say I brought Ice Beam, Shadow Claw, Iron Head, and Hidden Power Water on a Life Orb Kyurem Black, then I could lead off with my Kyurem and do pretty decently. But then he would have things that stop me in my tracks, such as Greninja, Azu, things like that. Anyways, we've got a Tapu Koko in this matchup where we're going to be rocking the Dazzling Gleam, Thunderbolt, Nature's Madness, and the Hidden Power Water. And we're rocking the Magnet item so that it, in the electric terrain, our electric type moves are bopping things left and right. Even gets some decent chip off on Gaugy and Superior. I've got the Hidden Power Water for Mega Camera up. Obviously, it resists both of my stabs. I thought about Hidden Power Ice for Landorus, but I felt like, Nature's Madness into Dazzling Gleam, or Dazzling Gleam into Dazzling Gleam, or Dazzling Gleam into Hidden Power Water. It just depends on what kind of Landorus he's rocking. But I didn't feel like, running Hidden Power Ice was a necessity here. I felt like he could definitely bring a Choice Scarf Landorus to revenge kill Tapu Koko. He could expect me to bring a Shukaberry variant, and he could be like Tectonic Rage and just blow through my Shuka anyway. He could be Supersonic Sky Strike with Fly. He could be Swords Dance. All kinds of different things Landorus could be. So there wasn't really a way, like, none of my squad's not going to be able to say I got something in and he clicks Swords Dance and he goes for the Supersonic Sky Strike or something. It's claiming a life. It's claiming a life, basically. Nothing on my squad's living a +2 Supersonic Sky Strike. Maybe a max HP, max defense Koko, but I'm not trying to lose my Koko to something like that. So Greninja's a huge threat as well, but I felt like, the way, not necessarily the way that my team's constructed, but the way that my entire draft sets, he's got to run something like, unless he just wants to go off neutral based stabs, but Hydro Pump and Dark Pulse are 2 really nice moves versus my squad. However, Tapu Koko Revenge Skills, Ferrothorn Walls, he'd have to pack something like Hidden Power Ice, Hidden Power Fire, and then something like Swampert takes it on a little bit more comfortably, but then he would have to run Grass Knot. So he could be a 4 moves variant, and then he could take on my team pretty well, but at the same time, he's not able to taunt, he's not able to U-turn, he's not able to set up spikes or toxic spikes or anything like that to annoy my squad, and I could deal with it a whole lot better. Reuniclus, Calm Mind, things like that could be very, very threatening. Superior is a huge threat as well. So I'm just going to talk about my squad a little bit. Maybe if we was to meet again in playoffs or potentially even finals or something like that, then I would rather keep a lot of this stuff to myself. I've actually talked probably too much, more than I should have. Anyways, Dazzling Gleam onto the Bronzong into a Magnet Boosted Thunderbolt in the electric terrain should knock it out. It should, unless he's like max HP, max special defense, and even then, it's doing a lot of damage. I am modest max special attack. I've been running quite a bit of bulk on my mons lately. and I've been missing out on knockouts. I've not been netting the KOs, and I've decided to bring back the attack power, a little bit less bulk on my Coco, but still got a little bit of bulk because of the speed tiers that I'm afforded to run in this matchup. So that being said, our next month, speaking of speed tiers, we've got a Choice Scarf Kieran Black with Ice Beam, Iron Head, Fusion Bolt, and Sleep Talk. So if you look at my opponent, why the hell am I running Sleep Talk? I'm running Sleep Talk because he has the potential for hypnosis on Xurkitree, and that's basically it. Like, he has nothing. I don't think Serp gets anything like Sleep Powder. It may. I don't think so. But yeah, I know Xurkitree's not running a Z move because it's not Z move eligible. But he could still run Hypnosis and try to take advantage of some of my mons that could be put to sleep, such as Ferrothorn, Swamp. Oh, well, a lot of my mons can be put to sleep, but some of the more passive ones that would maybe be a decent check to Xurkitree. However, Xurkitree does get things like Energy Ball, Dazzling Gleam, Thunderbolt, probably Hidden Power. Like, he don't have enough. It comes to the move slots again, like Greninja does. Greninja is very viable, even with the Syndrome of 4 move slot. It could even run 3 move slots and spikes, like I was mentioning earlier. But Xurkitree, it's a little bit more limited, but just in case he was to bring a Hypnosis variant, I could switch in my Kieran Black on that, and if he was to put me to sleep, then I could just spam Choice Scarf Sleep Talk, and I know Iron Head and Fusion Bolt aren't really doing the most to Xurkitree, but if I can get, Iron Head or Fusion Bolt and then get an Ice Beam on the following turn, it should be okay. Got a little bit of special attack investment with a rash nature. Puts out the damage. I'll say that. It's not necessarily anything too insane. And Iron Head's there for the Diancie. Fusion Bolt is there for the Azumarill. It also hits the Bronzong harder, especially with the Electric Terrain up. It hits the Bronzong harder than any of my other 2 moves. And I could have brought something like Earth Power or Shadow Claw or something like that, because the Bronzong's Levitate ability would not matter thanks to my Terravolt ability. But didn't want to lock myself into Earth Power when he's got something like Bronzong going around and could switch into a Serp and get that thing going. I didn't want that to happen. So this was the Choice Scarf Kieran Black set I decided on. Ice Beam, Iron Head, Fusion Bolt, and Sleep Talk. Again, maybe not the best Kieran set I could have brought, but one that I felt like could catch Sebi off guard, especially if like he's got his landers and he goes for Swords Dance. Say he goes for Swords Dance on my Ferrothorn, and I hard switch into my Kieran, and my opponent's wanting to blow me back. I've got a Choice Scarf, so I'm going to blow him back. Same thing for Greninja. If it comes down to the late game and he's got a regular Greninja and Dark Pulse looks to sweep my team, my Kieran Black comes in, clicks Choice Scarf Fusion Bolt, picks up the knockout on Greninja. It could be really nice there as well. So same thing for Serp, like I was mentioning with Landers, if he was to go for a Swords Dance. So if my Serp was or his Serp was to go for Leaf Storm, and then I switch in my Kieran Black and he's got the Dragon Pulse to knock me out at +2, I will outpace him thanks to my Choice Scarf and be able to knock him out with the Ice Beam bar like a Yachi Berry or something like that. Now, Azumarill could be very problematic. I don't want to lock myself into Fusion Bolt until things like Landers and Mega Camel are gone, because it gives them free rocks, and I don't want that to happen. So I gotta be wary of things like that. Next up, we have Mega Heracross, and this thing's got Bullet Seed on there for the. First of all, it hits Landers harder than my Stab does. Obviously, Rock Blast would have did the same, but Bullet Seed also hits the Azumarill and can blow that thing back. And this thing can avoid, I don't have to click Close Combat versus something like Diancie. I can spam Bullet Seed, and again, this is another Sleep Talk mon. Just in case, I just wanted to be very, very careful. However, this is the last Sleep Talk mon. I didn't need any other move, substitute, just draining my HP, Swords Dance, and then I get Revenge killed anyway, so I didn't really see a reason for any of that, and decided to bring Sleep Talk on this bad boy as well. I thought about Protect to just scout for like Hidden Power Flying on things like Greninja and Serp and things like that, but ultimately decided that I'll pass on that. And I've got a very, very bulky Mega Heracross here. This thing is really, really bulky. Can take hits on Can take earthquakes all day if he does decide to bring a Choice Scarf Landorus and tries to lock himself into Earthquake. Mega Hair eats those up. It also takes hits pretty comfortably from Greninja, surprisingly, and can blow that thing back as well. I can hard switch in on Reuniclus if it was to go for Recover or Calm Mind or anything like that. I can blow it back with a Pin Missile. It gets very problematic though if he's Acid Armor, and I'll talk about that a little bit more in depth when the time comes. It's actually be next month we talk about. So we'll go ahead and hop into that. Actually, we got Ferrothorn here with a Careful Nature, mostly SPDF, max HP, a little bit of defense investment, and we've got a Curse variant here with Gyro Ball, Power Whip, and Leech Seed. So Leech Seed obviously bounces off of Serp and like a Sap Sipper Azu or a Magic Guard Reuniclus, but it hits the rest of his squad for I think 16% every turn or whatever, and takes the percentage from him, gives it to me. Just a little bit of not necessarily reliable recovery, but a little bit of residual recovery here and there. And then I've got the Curse. So Curse allows me to set up on Landorus. That's not like +2. If Landorus is already set up, I'm not going to come in and try to 1v1 it and curse up alongside it. But if I can set up first, then I could potentially 1v1 Landorus. With my special defense investment, Greninja's never gonna survive versus me. Reuniclus, like I was just mentioning, this thing can 1v1 a Reuniclus as long as it does not have Acid Armor. If it has Acid Armor, it's very problematic for me. Serp, I can come in, I can take a Leaf Storm into Hidden Power Fire, but Gyro Ball probably doesn't knock him out. Trying to retaliate with that. So I'll try to, not rely on that. I don't want Ferrothorn to get bopped halfway through the match and then lose a potential win condition. I really like Ferrothorn in this matchup, despite him having things like Crabominal and the Mega Counter Up. It matches up really well versus the rest of his squad. He could be like a Choice Banded Superpower Azu, which would blow me back, obviously. But again, that's something I can scout for during the match and see what he wants to roll with and things like that. But yeah, I think Ferrothorn could be a decent mon here. Oh yeah, Mega Heracross also switches into Crabominal really well with the defenses and HP investment I have on it. So that being said, like I said, Reuniclus is a huge problem. So if it's like a Calm Mind variant or an Acid Armor variant or a both variant, it can be hugely annoying. I don't have a Dark type on my squad, so my opponent can afford to run something like Mono Psyshock or Mono Psychic. So yeah, on Swampert here, we are very SPDF invested, very HP invested as well, and a little bit of defense investment, similar to Ferrothorn with a Calm Nature though. And we've got Scald, Ice Beam. Scald hits the majority of his squad. Ice Beam hits Dragalge and Superior for super effective damage. And I've got Stealth Rocks. So I needed a Stealth Rocker and decided Swampert would be it. I was debating between bringing Nidoqueen, bringing Rocks on Feral, but when I made up my Feral set, I decided that Rocks would be better on my Swampert. And I didn't have a place for Nidoqueen in this matchup, unfortunately. So, yeah, very SPDF, can take a hit from Reuniclus, can actually take a non-boosted Giga Drain from Serp. I don't know, like Leaf Storm probably blows me back. I didn't bother calcing that. It's not worth it. I wouldn't stay in versus Leaf Storm Serp anyway. Can take hits pretty comfortably from Landorus as well, and can bop it with the Ice Beam. Don't have a way to hit Greninja, but I do have Roar to roar it around on rocks and things like that. Could be really nice. So last but not least, we have a Shukaberry variant for Entei with Sacred Fire, Extreme Speed, Iron Head, and the Hidden Power Water with a Naughty Nature. Actually, we had to change it to Adamant Nature because, Sacred Fire and Extreme Speed and Shiny and stuff like that. You know how it goes with Entei. So that being said, Entei is kind of another lure set. Brings in things like Diancie, and I can bop it with the Iron Head, get rid of a potential Trick Room user. Hidden Power Water is there for Mega Camera Up, such as Tapu Koko. I mean, such as Tapu Koko's reason for Hidden Power Water. So it's kind of lures that in too. Can take Rocks, Sacred Fire, and then a Hidden Power Water. Hopefully that will drop a Mega Camera up. Sacred Fire blows through things like Crabominal, Circuitry, Bronzong, even a heat-proof Bronzong doesn't really appreciate taking Sacred Fire. Blows through SERP as well, and Extreme Speed's really nice for late game priority. I don't have a way to hit, the Greninja and Sacred Fire after an Intimidate's not doing too much to or Landorus, but I could get a burn on that, and I do have the Sugar Berry so that I could potentially bait him to stay in, or if he was to come in on my Entei, take a Sacred Fire, doesn't get burnt, then I can comfortably stay in with my Sugar Berry and just throw off another Sacred Fire and kind of fish for the burn if I have to. But yeah, it's going to be it for the prep talk, and we can go ahead and hop into the battle and see what goes on here against my boy Sebi. Alright, so here we are with the replay, and my opponent chooses to bring Landorus, Therian, Superior, Reuniclus, Bronzong, Greninja, and the Mega Camera. So it definitely has some Trick Room essence with 2 potential Trick Room setters and 3 mons that can amuse that. But outside of Trick Room, he has Landorus, Therian, Superior, and Greninja, which all can function well without Trick Room. And actually, his other 3 Trick Room essence mons can perform very exceptionally well outside of Trick Room also. So he brings 3 potential out of his 4 potential Stealth Rockers in Landorus, Bronzong, and Mega Camera. So that made the lead tough. And I felt like if he was to lead off with Superior, then I had decent switch-ins to that. And he's going to lead off with his Landorus as I'll lead off with my Swampert. So my Swampert led off pretty well versus his potential Stealth Rockers. And what I can do here is throw off an Ice Beam, or I can get up my Stealth Rocks. Depends what, what I feel like my opponent's going to do. So I'm going to fire off an Ice Beam here, and I get a nice 40% off on the SERP. Really nice damage here. I'm going to hard switch into my Entei, expecting the Leaf Storm. I didn't want to take a Leaf Storm into Hidden Power Fire, and Leaf Storm into Dragon Pulse after the Contrary boost still does not knock out my Entei. So unless he has like Hidden Power Rock or Hidden Power Ground or something, he's not going to be able to take out my Entei. And even then, it's probably a roll. I do have a little bit of HP investment. So I do expect him to switch out here, and I can just throw off a big Sacred Fire, and I get a critical hit versus my man Sebi here. A little bit unfortunate, but I don't know how much it's going to matter in the grand scheme of things. As what he's going to do here is he's going to attack me with the the Earth Power, and despite my Sugar Berry, this is going to blow me all the way back. But I do get some nice chip damage off, put him in range of Mega Heracross here. I can just go for the Bullet Seed, expecting the Landorus to come in, and it will do more to Landorus than Close Combat and Pin Missile will. So, get a nice little chip damage off there. What was that? 40% or so. It's pretty nice. And I'm able to go into my go into my Swampert on his Landorus as he U-turns out into his SERP. So exactly what I didn't want to happen all match. Getting caught in the Volt Turn Vortex and getting this big SERP in and just taking lives. So he's just going to fire off a Leaf Storm again. And this time I get in my Kieran Black instead of my Entei. I'm going to go for the Choice Scarf Ice Beam. Maybe caught my opponent off guard there. And it does give him some valuable information, though, that he can now bring in his Bronzong and start to do a little bit of work. So, yeah, a little bit unfortunate for me, but I do get a Mon down, so definitely not a 6-0. And we can get our Swampert in here and try to get up our own Stealth Rocks as our opponent gets his rocks up and then brings in his Reuniclus. So, at first, this is kind of a misplay, I suppose. At first, I didn't... First, I wanted to go into my Ferrothorn and start to see what this set was all about. And my opponent goes for the Acid Armor, though. So that's a really, really scary here. And I actually did some calcs as I was cursing up alongside this man. And it revealed that a +6 Psychic will be able to 2-hit KO my Ferrothorn. So I didn't want to stay in here, and this Power Whip bounced off. So I'm going to hard switch into my Swampert here as my opponent goes for another Calm Mind. And now I'm going to roar. I got to roar him out of here. I do not want Swept by Reuniclus just yet. Definitely don't want, Swept by Reuniclus just yet. It's only turn 18. So I hard switch into my Mega Heracross here on the Greninja as he gets up a Spike. And then he goes for the Hydro Pump and gets some nice damage off versus my Heracross. But I am able to click the Bullet Seed here and knock out the Greninja. And he brings in his Landorus here. And expecting him to be Choice Scarf, I actually go for the Bullet Seed here as my opponent goes for the Fly. So he's actually able to get some nice damage off here on my Tapu Koko. It does 30%. So as you can see, I wasn't taking no Supersonic Sky Strike or anything like that. I go for the Nature's Madness, expecting my opponent's Bronzong to come out, but he actually stays in and goes for the Earthquake. I suppose expecting me to have Hidden Power Water instead of Ice, and knowing that he could probably survive from that range. So he does knock out my Tapu Koko here, and I can bring in my Kyurem Black here and try to get some chip damage off. He goes into his Bronzong, and it takes basically nothing from my freeze there. A little bit unfortunate for me, and my opponent goes for the Trick Room with the Bronzong. So this actually makes me slower or faster under Trick Room than the Mega Camera up here. So after a curse, I'm definitely faster, and I just go for the Gyro Ball here and knock this bad boy out. And down goes the Mega Camera up, and he brings in his Reuniclus, and this is so scary. So I'm going to hard switch into my Swampert as my opponent immediately goes for the Acid Armor. So that's really tough for me. He made the right play there, as if he would have clicked anything other than Acid Armor, then Mega Heracross would have, bopped him. So yeah, he's at +2 defense here, and my Pin Missile is going to kind of bounce off, but it does force him to attack me. And now I can bring in my Kyurem Black and go for the Ice Beam here. See what kind of damage I can do here. My opponent chooses to save his Reuniclus though, which is a fair play. Goes into his Bronzong and he gets frozen. Very, very unfortunate for my man Sebi here. But with an 8-0 record, no sweating for playoffs and things like that, and my need for a win, I'm going to take full advantage of the freeze. Normally I wouldn't do that, but in the circumstances here and playing one of my good buddies, I don't think it's going to be held against me, as I would not hold it against Sebi either if I was sitting at 8-0 and he needed wins to get into the playoffs. So yeah, like I mentioned, taking full advantage of this. I'm going for curse after curse as my opponent reveals the Swords Dance, and he already revealed the Supersonic Sky Strike. It bounced off as well, and at this point the Earthquake after the Leech Seed and Leftovers recovery isn't going to be able to knock me out here. I'm going to get just a little bit of recovery back as I set up my final curse, or versus the Landers anyway. Final curse versus the Landers. And now my opponent can bring back in his Reuniclus, and he goes for the Acid Armor immediately as my Power Whip does a decent amount here at 34%. Unfortunately, my opponent can recover this off, but at the same time, I'm getting leftovers back as well. And I can curse up alongside him if he decides to Acid Armor once again, or if he decides to recover up on the wrong turn, or decides not to recover on the wrong turn, or throws off a Psychic or a Calm Mind on the wrong turn, and leaves himself in range of being potentially 2 or 3 hit KO'd by Power Whip, then I could catch him off guard here. But it does look like his Reuniclus is going to be able to save him at the end of the day. It's just going to be really, really hard unless, his Psychics don't do 40%. If they don't do, it would be really nice if he wasn't Magic Guard, so I could throw off a Leech Seed and get even more reliable recovery. But basically what's happening here is my opponent is going to be able to stall me out here at +4 defense. My +4 attacks are doing basically neutral damage, and my opponent will be able to 2-hit KO me once he gets up to +6 special attack. But, oh my god, right? I got a critical hit, and that's going to knock my boy Sebi out and essentially give us the W here. Very unfortunate for my boy Sebi. He couldn't have played any better. He played fantastically. Was able to pretty much nullify all of my threats. His prep was definitely in the right place, whereas mine was kind of just trying to catch my opponent off guard. But yeah, it's going to be it. We're going to be able to pick a win up over Sebi. I can't really say good game. Well, I can. Sebi played great, so he played a very good game. I didn't necessarily play bad. I didn't play a great game though, and was rewarded with RNG for unknown reasons. But anyways, that's what Pokemon does to us sometimes. It's very unfortunate. However, it does give us our 5th win, putting us, above 500 again. It gives Sebi his first loss, but he's, like I mentioned, no sweat so far. He's pretty much guaranteed the #1 seed at this point, unless he drops the rest of his games. But yeah, it's gonna be it. Let me know what you guys thought about the prep and the plays on both sides of the field. Let me know what you guys think that I could have, prepped or did differently in this match with the prep that I had that could have, put me in a position where I didn't need something like that to happen. Was there a way that Ferrothorn could ever beat Reuniclus? I don't think so. So yeah, that's gonna be it. Again, leave a like, comment, and subscribe, all the good stuff, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.